Hello. Just gonna hang around and wait and see who's gonna show up. So the idea is that I read one of the short stories from my book, The Fractured Reflection, which is a book of short stories based from real world experiences through the eyes of someone with PTSD and chronic illness. Hello, Abby. Hi. Good to see you, honey. Yeah, so this is my first time doing anything like this, so please excuse me if I start stuttering or can't get rid of this weird grin on my face. Yeah, so basically there's two choices to the stories. There's either one that's called The Test or one that is called Plot Lost. So so if you have a choice of which story you'd like to hear, whether it be The Test or Plot Lost, feel free to let me know, and I'll give it a couple of minutes or a minute or so for anyone who wants to do that. Hi Tracy, hi Philippa, hi Nick. At the moment I've had a couple of requests for Plot Lost, so if anyone's cool with that, just yeah, I can do that. Or yeah. Okay. Hi Helen, hi Joe. Okay, so so this will be the third of 13 of the short stories in Fractured Reflection, which is the short story book that I will be releasing in the next couple of weeks. It's very exciting. Yep, so this one is called Plot Lost, so I'm going to do my best. This is, yeah, I'm very nervous. Can you tell? Okay, so here we go. This is Plot Lost. She was worried about her son. She didn't want to leave him again. He told her she wasn't, that he wanted her to go back and have a life and get the medical help she needed, that he would be all right and that he could and would manage without her there. She took him at his word. He was 26 now, after all, and left full of promises he'd given her that he would keep in touch at least once a week and keep her in the loop of what was occurring always. It had been a month since she'd arrived at her destination, a month she'd given herself to have a holiday, to play tourist and enjoy herself as best she could, as she reacquainted herself with the area. She and her friend, who had kindly offered to let her stay until she got on her feet, took off every day there and everywhere, hanging out, having lunch, basically enjoying themselves. She'd given herself this month, as her friends had to return to her studies at uni, and she would basically at that point want to get started into writing her book and work again. Her month was nearly up, and she realised that she'd had no word from her son. This irked her somewhat, but she put it down to him being busy rearranging the flat he'd taken over from her and sorting out bits and pieces at his end. So she messaged him. Nothing. She sent him a text informing him that she had her new phone number. Nothing. She waited a week each time, making up excuses for him, like he's probably just got his times wrong, or he's probably just busy. Early the next week, she had a conversation with her best friend and sister. She filled her in bits and pieces, and they generally had a good conversation. Then she reads the words she's been dreading with all her heart, the one thing he promised her above all else, and told her he understood fully why. Apparently, the girl is basically living over there now, which is why we've barely seen him, because he knows she isn't welcome here. Talk about bombshell. Her own son, who apparently understood her better than most, who knew why she didn't trust her or want him to get in too deep with her, had done exactly the opposite of everything they had discussed and agreed to. Furious wasn't the word. Her brain felt like Mount St. Helens before it exploded. She wanted to unleash hell and was ready to find a way back, just to kick the boy into next week and her under a moving train. It wasn't so much the age gap, and in many eyes this was significant and in some ways a bit sinister. She was a fussy and high maintenance in her own way. A whiny pain in the bum who did nothing but smarm her way into her home and into her son's life. Her son had been hurt before, seriously hurt, and she wasn't going to let it happen again without a fight. This little bitch needed to learn that when mama ain't happy, there's a bloody good reason for it. She told herself she needed to chill out and talk about this calmly with him. Then she remembered she'd spoken to her ex-husband, who lived as their boarder at the son's request in the flat the day before, and yet nothing was said about anything. He was in on it too. That was her last straw. And once everyone in the house had gone to bed, and she had had over an hour to let her head gain momentum on all this information, she called her ex-husband and verbally laid waste to him, who then handed the phone over to her son, who she promptly laid waste to too. In that moment, she didn't care who woke up or who she'd screaming at. She was going to have them both, have it both barrels. That she did. Her own brain screamed at her, stop, listen. But in that moment, her fight response had been triggered, and in that moment, she was unable to make it stop. Maybe if someone had talked her down earlier instead of helping to ramp her up, maybe, just maybe, she may have let it go. Unfortunately, no one around her understood that. Fortunately, though, her son did. To her, he was the only one who seemed to get it. You had to calm her down with her own words, show her and reason with her like a mirrored reflection. In the end, it wasn't her that anyone was fighting against. It was the gremlin in her brain that took a pickaxe to her logic at times, almost like a plumber trying to be an electrician. She wasn't sure how he did it, really. Somehow, though, out of all of the people she knew, he was the only one who seemed to have the knack. The way her brain worked at times like this was similar to an addict. Talking to an addict, you should remember you aren't talking to the person anymore. You're talking to the addiction, whether it's drugs, alcohol, gambling, whatever. That is what you're talking to. Her son saw this and treated her accordingly. To be able to get past the other voice and get back to her, he had to play the voice at its own game. Show her it's the voice and make her fight that and not him. And it worked every time. This time was different, though. They didn't speak for over a week. She was too ashamed, and he was letting her know he wasn't having it anymore. In that time, she saw the doctor and spoke to him about it. It's normal for those with PTSD, of course, you know, who are premenopausal too, so your hormones are going to have a major effect as well. Try and talk things out before they get to that point. It may be hard, but it will help. She left, feeling like a toddler who'd been told to use her words rather than throw a tantrum. She thought about it for several days. It made sense, though. Yes, she had behaved like a tantrum-throwing toddler, But she also knew that talking about important things was hard for her after spending years being told, don't be ridiculous, you're crazy, you have no idea what you're talking about, I've no time for this. Shouldn't you be thinking about getting me a sandwich? Go to sleep. Stop thinking. Seriously? This again? You know, I'll kill you if you repeat what you've seen or heard. Yep. A lifetime of threats and abuse made her unable to use her voice. It trembled and she stuttered when she was voicing her concerns or things that were important to her. She sent her son a message. They talked. She apologized and explained, and he backed down to accepting her apology and realizing sometimes she couldn't help it. Of course, it was a reason for her behavior, but it was never an excuse, and over time she would have to learn to control herself. They talked, he explained more, and although she didn't like it, she accepted he was a grown man and had to make his own decisions and live with the consequences of them. As his mum, all she could do was watch and wait and support him in her own way. She made the decision to try, at least. It would take time, and she already was making strides in this now. She knew what the triggers were. When things started feeling wrong now, she did what she could to talk to those she needed to, or to at least talk it out with someone who would be at least able to help her make sense of what her head was doing. Sometimes it was her mum. Sometimes it was a friend. And when she felt she could do it with those who made her feel something was seriously wrong. Steps forward was still moving her in the right direction, no matter how small, and that, she thought, was all that really mattered. So yeah, there you go. That's just one of 13 completely bonkers little stories that make up the book that I've been writing called The Fractured Reflection. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. Hello everybody. Oh my goodness, how many people have joined. Hi Emma, hi Serenity, hi Rachel, hi Joe, hi Sandra, hi Carolyn, hi Christine, hi Liz, hi Talia. Yeah, so the book will be ready in the next couple of weeks, and on Monday, if you are not a Patreon, I will be sharing the new book cover, which was created by the amazing Gaz Jackson of Sinister Arts, and I'm so excited. So yeah, please do hang around and see what will happen. If you're interested in checking out my Patreon account, it's under the Blue Pixie, so go and check it out. See if you want to join us. That would be awesome, because the more Patreons I get, the more stuff I can do, which is very groovy. Okay, so yeah, have a great night, and my inbox is open, so feel free to message me for the next hour or so, because yeah, I'm not going anywhere. My coffee cup's still rather full. See you later.